I think this is the best deck in Marvel Snap. The release of Stick has supercharged the already powerful Carter combo list to levels that are genuinely pretty preposterous. This is a deck that is perhaps the most impossible thing to snap against in the entire game. You have no idea what the range is when you're playing against it, and it can get as tall as anything else in the entire game. The way this deck works is by using specific combinations of cards in specific ways. I'll also note that it is one of, if not the hardest decks I have ever tried to play. I played this for 3 hours. I did very well, went from rank 25 to rank 18, about a 31 and 18, if I recall correctly, win rate, and I still don't feel like I made every correct decision while playing. One of the really fascinating things about this deck is that you have to commit very early to a specific line. Are you going to play that Hope Summers on turn 3, or are you going to play that Storm Horseman on turn 3? That decision alone is really difficult for me to make a lot of the time and depends on what other things are happening in my hand. And even then, it's sometimes a decision that I come to regret. Am I going to run out a Captain Carter early as a way of buffing up my Stick and my Maverick later in the game? Or do I want to save her because she's a really good target for my Mother Ascani? Am I using my Grandmaster on Mother Ascani, or am I saving my Grandmaster for using it on a Stick or a Brood later in the game? How am I setting up my matchup such that I am going to be able to have both a Maverick and a Stick behind the Captain Carter? If I'm doing that and I'm playing a Stick on the final turn of the game, what am I going to be using that power on? Is there a 1 or 2 drop in my hand that I can actually play that on? Or do I need to play Hope Summers in order to get up to 7 energy so I can do Stick Brood? There's just a lot of planning that goes into this deck when you're focused on how the output is supposed to look like on the final turn. You need to be sort of back planning from that the entire way. I won't say it's move bounce-ish, because move bounce had a lot of reads of what your opponent is doing and dealing with things, but I do think that if you're not familiar with all the little tricks of this deck, like, for example, why is Nightcrawler in here? Well, Nightcrawler you can actually order so that he can take whatever position you want in a lane so that you can do better Prodigy things. That kind of stuff is just like, it's not obvious, I think, a lot of the time. And this is a deck that really rewards you knowing all of those intricacies and those specific things that work in the way that this deck wants it to work. And once you understand all that, there were games where I was in for 8, made a bad play, thought about it, realized I had a play that was like genuinely 20 to 30 points of power more, and then did that instead. There's so much that's easy to miss with this deck if you're not spending the time to actually figure out what the hell is going on. This is a seriously powerful list, but unlike Move Bounce, which is very read-oriented, this list is really one of those ones where you just have to master the engine, right? It's rare that there are decks that I think you can benefit from goldfishing, quote unquote, which is a term from other card games where it's just like, I'm going to figure out how to master my deck and then not worry about what my opponents are doing. This is one of those decks where I think that actually is valuable, where just like every rep on your output is actually going to be so important to you, because the honest answer is most people aren't doing anything that can stop you. And the only thing that's going to stop you when you're playing a deck like this is you. Agony is a really powerful card and actually kind of full of a lot of the weirdness of this deck. One thing that I've noticed that I do that not a lot of other people do, which is not necessarily a guarantee that it's right, but it is something that I think people probably don't think about a lot of the time, is hold Agony for later turns, not necessarily for specific reasons, just because there's a bunch of small things that can happen that are going to be particularly useful. I see a lot of people just play Agony on 2, and for me, it's like, I need a reason to do that. Why am I playing Agony on 2? Because I'm going to be able to play it on 4 anytime that I'm not Mother Ascaniing, right? So I will be able to have more information, more cards in my hand, and a better informed decision. So why am I playing it on 2? A lot of that time, that kind of thing comes up. I'm not saying it's wrong to play it on 2. Sometimes it is, but you do have to think about it, right? If you have a Storm in hand, you kind of want to hold that Agony, because buffing the Agony and then also the thing you want to Agony, that's really good for you. It gets your Captain Carter to 8, right? Like, that's amazing as opposed to just getting her to 6. You love that. That's what your deck is about. So Agony is a card that also allows some other really cool things. Like, for example, if you Mother Ascani a Prodigy and she's in her own lane, what you can do is on turn 5, play Agony, Prodigy, Prodigy. And if the Agony's in the front row next to Mother Ascani, so the Agony's on the right, the first Prodigy will reveal, copy the Mother Ascani, then merge with the Agony. The second Prodigy will then be in space 3 behind the Mother Ascani. You'll get another Mother Ascani proc. That kind of like using Agony to delay your Prodigies to hit the stuff you actually want to hit is a big part of what she does as well. It's another reason why I like saving her. Nightcrawler is just sort of here because he does a lot of the same things Agony does, and that's valuable enough, even if it's not directly synergistic with what your deck is doing the way Agony is. Like, Agony is doing all those things and also directly synergizing with you, but just doing that kind of space manipulation stuff to make your Prodigies better, that's worth it. Just every time. And that's what Nightcrawler is bringing. I would love to be able to play Wasp in this deck again. I think you probably can, but Nightcrawler right now is just outdoing her a little bit. And I think that that is likely to be the state of affairs going forward, barring a massive resurgence in Killmonger. Grandmaster does a couple things in this deck. The first and most obvious is, you Mother Ascani, right? But sometimes people are playing Mobius, and sometimes that's actually not the right thing to do anyway. You can also hit Grandmaster with Stick, and that's a potentially powerful thing to be doing. And of course, when you've got a big thing stacked up, using Grandmaster on your Brood is how you compete for 3 lanes usually, because whatever you have that's big and stacked up, that's only in 1 lane. If you Brood, maybe it's 2, but if you think you need to compete for 3, Brood and then Grandmaster is how you make it happen. This is also relevant for Hope Summers type stuff. If you can get 2 energy going into the final turn, that'll give you 8. You get 3 and a Brood and a Grandmaster, which is a very powerful thing to be doing. That kind of thing is one of the directions that you'll be looking at here, and it's definitely not as simple as always Mother Ascaniing with this card. There's a lot of modes that this card has, but it's never going to be that bad to do the Mother Ascani stuff. Storm Horseman of Famine, I think, is the card you're going to want to default to playing when you have it on 3. This is just such a powerful intensifier to what this deck is already doing. Every card in your deck basically scales more than just linearly with what Storm is doing, whether that be through Captain Carter or through Maverick or through Stick or through Brood. She's just making a lot of things happen. And even if you're not going to specifically hit one of those cards that duplicates, okay, well, you might Mother Ascani that card anyway, and then it is extra value. Basically, every time you play this card, it is going to be a great card on 3. The only times I really, I tried a bunch of different openings, so to speak, where it's like, I'm going to be a Storm deck, and I'm going to be a Hope Summers on 3 deck. Those are the 2 that you really want to play on 3. And I think I came to the conclusion that Storm is the better one to play most of the time. Brood is your output card. So what you do over the course of this game is stack up things like Sticks and Captain Carters and Mavericks and then put those buffs on a Brood. That's what he does. He's here to do that. That's honestly literally it. Captain Carter is both start up and finish for a deck like this. You can use her as a Brood type card, or, and this is much more common, use her to fuel ridiculous things. So for example, you do something like get a Captain Carter in the same lane as the Storm. You play a Maverick. You activate the Maverick on a Stick. Boom. You now have the world's largest Stick buff going on to who cares? It just doesn't matter, right? What Stick adds to this deck is actually another intensifier of Captain Carter, which is to say that a lot of the time you have a Maverick, they'll know what's going on. But Stick in this deck means that you can put the Stick behind the Captain Carter and they won't know how big it's going to be. So you can get like a 20 power Stick and they'll be like, oh God, I wasn't expecting that. 20 power in the Captain Carter lane, 20 power somewhere else. God forbid you have a Hope Summers there. And this is where things get a little bit weird, right? Because if you have the Hope Summers, then this play gets way better because you can stick into Brood on the final turn of the game. Not only are you winning the Captain Carter lane, but you're also making a 60 power Brood or whatever. You get the idea. Maverick is a card that is core to this deck in a million different ways. I would say this is a Maverick deck before it's honestly anything else. And Maverick's goal here is to get a buff and then send that buff to something else, which sends that buff to something else. And from there, you're probably just winning. Just make sure that you're actually realizing these gains. One of the things that I tend to fall into is I'll have all this cool stuff in my hand and I might not choose the best options on 4 and 5 a lot of the time. And then I'll be like, man, I really should have done something different. And I think that when you play this deck, you'll probably run into some similar situations. Silver Surfer is flat out terrible in this deck. I genuinely don't have a better option for this spot. He is the worst card in this deck by a mile. He is here like a vestigial tail. I genuinely have no idea what I'm supposed to be playing, though, because whenever I'm like, okay, what do I want to beat? It's like the mirror, right? I could not tell you in a million years how to win the mirror other than just draw better. I don't think Silver Surfer does it. I've seen people playing Copycat. I know Smiz is playing Chameleon. It's not right. None of this is right. I know Heart of the Cards is playing Luke Cage, and like maybe that's fine. Maybe you're supposed to play Luke Cage just to like YOLO some wins against people playing Phantom X or Lady Bullseye or whatever. It's just a really awkward time. And this slot can be whatever. You want to play a tech card against whatever? I do not care. Feel free. A Mobius to try to beat the mirror because of Mother Gascani. Again, go nuts. Sure. Like, I'm not going to argue with you. But this card could be whatever you want. Hope Summers is probably the most confusing card in this deck, where she enables some of your weirder off-curve plays really, really well. But at the same time, it's really mostly important that you have her on 3 to play on 4, so you can then get 2 3s on 5. And then on 6, she's really not doing too much more than that, because it's not super common that you're willing to play 2 3s in the Hope Summers lane at that time. Sometimes it can work out. I have won games doing that, but typically your breakpoint is 8, not 7. Sometimes your breakpoint will be 7 if you're doing things like Stick Brood or whatever, and things like that can work out. Or if Mother Gascani is messing with the math enough, you can get good value out of 7s. But a lot of the time, you might end up floating some energy. She's a difficult card to use. I really do like that she's here, though, because she just gives you a way to fight through a lot of things like Mobius that you otherwise really wouldn't have a good way to fight through. When I talk about this deck being difficult, I think most of it is using Prodigy properly. So let's just run through a couple of things Prodigy can do. Copy a Captain Carter. If you have a Captain Carter stick lane, he can copy the stick on the final turn of the game. One of the common things you'll do in a deck like this is go like Captain Carter, stick, Maverick, right? And then you activate the Maverick on the Prodigy. The Prodigy copies the stick. Then you play Brood, right? Like that's like a fairly common, just that was your 3, 4, 5, basically. You could just do that, right? And that is a pretty phenomenally powerful thing to do. There's a bunch of stuff this card can do, though. Like when you Mother Gascani it, I already talked about the agony double Prodigy play with Mother Gascani. That's something that can let a bunch of stupid things happen across the board. Just a lot of things this card is functionally able to do. If there's going to be places where you misplay playing this deck, I think a lot of them are going to be related to properly deploying this card. He is a big skill tester. Stick is a card that stacks with the rest of what this deck is doing. I think he's, I don't know, a core card, but like the 5th best core card, if that makes any sense. So he's in more the Maverick Captain Carter group of things than he is in the Intensifier group of things, the way things like Mother Gascani and Grandmaster tend to be. But functionally, this deck is just all doubles, right? You play Maverick. Whatever buff you gave to Maverick, you double it and give it to the next guy. You play Mother Gascani, you double her effect with a Grandmaster. Mother Gascani herself is a doubler. You play Stick. Whatever buff you gave Stick, you give it to the next guy. That's a doubler. Brood, that's a tripler. Prodigy, that's a doubler. You're just doing that, and Stick very clearly fits in that game plan. Zoran Momskani taking the world by storm. This is a phenomenally powerful card. Just I think odds-on favorite for the best card in the game. An unbelievable powerhouse in a deck like this that is fundamentally doubles and doubles and doubles and doubles and doubles. But she's also a card where you can easily make mistakes with her. And I think that much like Prodigy, this is a card that I think a lot of people assume is easy to play. It's like Star-Lord. It's obvious and powerful. And I think it's actually quite difficult to play in a couple of like pretty straightforward ways. But the number one way you'll mess up by playing this card actually is over indexing for her. It's really easy with a deck like this to see cards and just be like, I know this play pattern. I'm going to do Mother Ascani Grandmaster every time. And like, you have to, when you play a deck like this, forcibly break all those patterns. Like I talked about this with the Surfer stuff. If you play this deck like a Surfer deck, you are throwing. If you play this deck like you're always doing the same thing every time, you are throwing. Your goal is power output. So when you're playing turn 4, you should be thinking about what's my turn 5, what's my turn 6, how am I outputting power? You should be thinking about that the entire game. Now, this is pretty easy because there are only really 4 turns on which you're playing cards. But when you're playing turn 3, you need to be thinking, what am I doing on turn 4? What is the thing that I am going to play? What does that change if I top deck Mother Ascani? Don't over-index for the easy, obvious play. Over-index for numbers. All right, y'all. I really hope y'all enjoy this. I think this is a really unique deck in Marvel Snap. A lot of the time, I don't think there's a lot of value in just like playing a bunch of games where you don't even think about your opponent at all. This is one of those decks where I feel like mastering the engine is a serious upgrade because you're probably leaving equity on the table by just not doing the exact right mechanical stuff with this deck. And that's rare. I don't think that that's common for a Marvel Snap deck. I've compared this deck to the Move Bounce deck. And while I think it's fairly similar, I do think that like this deck is much more about your ability to execute than it is about your ability to read your opponent. Because like, honestly, if anything, this is a Yu-Gi-Oh deck. You need to master the engine. All right, y'all, we're about to jump into some gameplay. Hope you enjoy that. As always, I've been KMBest. You've been phenomenal, and I'll see you in the next one. Black Cat. What the fuck is this? All right, so here's the deal. He never has any tech cards. Feel me? Doesn't have those. Good? Good. Wow, that is quite something. Okay, that's pretty scary, actually. I am reasonably scared of that. Surely I don't lose here. That would never happen. It's certainly losable. Okay, now we're tie breaking and it feels a little less losable. Find out. I think we win both locations by a pretty solid amount. But they fire these Jocastas a lot. They have to win the left by more than 25. They don't even win the left, huh? All right.
Victory.
My dumbass combo deck has out-comboed your dumbass combo deck. Dude, look at the extra value we're getting out of this Storm Horseman here. Look at this extra Storm Horseman value we're cooking up. Y'all ain't seen shit.
Snap.
Percentage of your games are mirrors? Less than you'd think. Okay, so we're gonna go to a stick at 2, right? So we're gonna have 2 sticks at 2, which means we need payoff for them, which means we're keeping the agony in hand. Order is weird here. Nine, 18. What we're gonna do is you go here, 9, 18, big. Pretty good. Pretty good. Dude, can I stop drawing this fucking card? Holy shit. I need to stop drawing this card with the quickness. Fucking hell. Look, man, we get Galactus this life. I suppose there is an easy way to stop drawing it. Actually kind of insane how fucked up the things we're doing here are. Like, I guess there's no point in doing it that way, because they could fuck my thing with a CGR, right? So we're gonna do the other way. Go like that, I think. Good. We might legitimately just win the right. Get 8 here, and then 6 and 6. Yeah, we just win the right anyway. It's chill. Okay, I take it back, Surfer. You're the best to ever do it. Bad order loses to CGR. No, this is the good order that beats CGR. Victory. The worst man to ever live, Husky Puppies. Fact. Right around it, you're right. You're so right. I'm probably just... Snaps for you, Husky. That snaps for you, buddy. I regret it. Oh, I regret it. What the fuck is happening here? Oh, fuck, dude. What is this? Holy shit. I mean, that is really good for them, but it's not like... Losing 8. And do not fight for mid. I am the smartest man alive. This is where I lose to M'Baku. I'm a god, dude. No, this is a better stay. We got there. I'm the smartest man alive. You feel me? I had the wrong mode of how do I double my dumb bullshit. It should have been the other way. Holy fuck. Is this the best martyr split anyone's ever seen? That is wild. Oh, it's the fucking storm deck. They either do it to me and lose, or... Tribunal game. Look. We're not kidding. Ah. So then we have 7 energy here. I think we're fine. They can go Iron Man mid. I'm pretty sure we just win. Wait. Not gonna leave. You beat Ms. Marvel split? Fucking probably, dude. I assume it's Iron Man, which is really good. Man. I don't know if we beat this.
I am Iron Man.
Harder move. They have a tribunal on the board.
I am Iron Man.
We honestly still might beat this, actually. No, we legitimately might just beat this. We might beat Trips Iron Man. They had the energy for Iron Man, but you're just not paying attention. But we're good.
Victory.
You're genuinely just not paying attention to this game. Cards to the right. The only one with the CCP. Dude. Sorry, I was too busy vomiting. Oh, fuck. Oh. Great. Fuck. This was the greatest hand of all time, and now we are trash. That would help us if had cards. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Am I allowed to snap this? Oh. That's tough. Oh, fuck, that's really bad. So it's a 16 power guy. We have 12 into a bunch more, right? Or maybe we just go 12 into a billion. Yeah, let's do 12 into a billion. So problem for them. Galactus fucking sucks and got insanely mogged by Stick.